Hey everybody, it's Thursday.
And welcome to this week's edition of The Night Bite.
I'm Josh.
And I'm Emily. And thanks so much for being here with us this evening. The fun thing actually about tonight is we do typically go live Thursdays at 7 on Crappie Junction, but we also, this kind of kicks off the official start of, from here until the Wisconsin Ice Fishing Expo. We will be interviewing some of the different booths on the show Tuesdays and Thursdays, and this is the beginning of that. So if you are a new audience member coming from that expo page, then welcome. And we are so excited for everything that's to come. Before we get ahead of ourselves, I guess, because we're going to talk about the expo a whole lot more, we usually start off with a little bit of a fishing report. And so if you are checking in, let us know where you're from or what you're fishing for or how that's going. And then I always turn it over to Josh and say, how's it going for us? But one of the things I'll admit is we only went out fishing one day this past weekend. And normally we give it our whole heart and soul, our both weekend days, we dump into it, and we just couldn't this past weekend. So that was a lot different for us.
Yeah, it was a little bit different. And first off, I want to say hi to all of you at the Wisconsin Ice Fishing Expo page. If you're watching from there, we're going to be blasting this page, like Emily said, every Tuesday and Thursday at 7 up until the night before the Wisconsin Ice Fishing Show. If you miss any of the episodes, they will be on this page. They'll live on this page. They'll live on the Crappie Junction YouTube and Facebook pages. So don't worry about it. And if you want to just listen to us for some reason, you just want to hear my voice and not look at my face, it's available on Spotify or Apple iTunes and stuff like that as well. So this weekend,
I was like, that was not the answer to my question.
So this weekend was tough. We had some weather move through, and
so we kind of a cold front for
it was cold front. It was a bunch of stuff, right? Because it was like cold front that we had a little bit of rain we hadn't had in a few weeks. Like there's a bunch of things that happened. And that coupled with the fact that like we only saw the water the one day, like that can be tough, right? And we hadn't been on this body of water for a few weeks. So
before you even get to that, that's an interesting point, because when we have one day of the week that we're going to go fishing, I guess let's set this up even differently. When we have 2 weekend days that we're going to plan to go fishing, I usually try to go like one body of water that I think I'm pretty sure we'll do pretty okay. And then like one gamble. So like a new body of water or somewhere that I'm not totally sure where the fish will be or something like that. I don't know. That's what I do. I don't know if we've ever talked about that. That's how my brain works. But when we only have one, so I kind of narrowed that down to a body of water that I thought I was a little bit confident in. And with the weather conditions, my choice is to, when I look at the water around us, we have to choose an itty bitty little teeny tiny lake, or we have to choose a fairly decent sized body of water, like a pretty big lake. And I don't know, well, we don't have like huge water around us, right? But we went with one of the bigger lakes, and I think that was the right decision with the different pressure and the fronts that were coming through. I think sometimes on the little lakes, the wind swirls and we get pushed around a lot. I mean, you drive our boat a little bit more than I do, so you can attest to that. Yeah, but I'm just saying with the bigger lakes, we were able to try some other methods like drifting. And, in a small lake, there's only so far you can drift. And so I still think we made the right decision, but it was tough.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We were both trying a lot of different things, and I just ended up picking some random stuff like colors or jig heads or whatever.
Well, because we were cycling through because we were just
right. And I caught a few fish. Like, I can't say that we were skunked, right? We had walleye and bass and some crappies and bluegills and hey Ray, hey Ryan.
You had a lot of very small fish.
Yeah.
Like in a place that we normally catch some pretty decent crappies, and he caught a few crappies that were like palm size. Not even your whole hand,
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. Like and towards the evening we got a couple bigger fish, but like
they were one-offs.
We were done by that point, so we're just like, well, we're just gonna, the fish were in some spots and we just nothing was very hungry, and so we just kind of left. So if you guys had way better luck last weekend, like let us know what you were doing, so maybe I can try it this weekend.
Well, and ultimately what worked is, I guess, bait control because of the wind control. And so I think the bite was for a smaller presentation, but a bobber was hard to use in waves, or a smaller bait, is a little bit hard to use in waves because you need that weight to your bait. So when we were cycling through, we were using a lot of tungstens and smaller presentations. And in fall I like to upsize, but that wasn't the case this past weekend, and maybe this weekend it'll be, but we will bring you that report next Tuesday.
Yeah.
So, like Josh said, if you had more luck than we did, I guess we had okay luck.
Yeah.
I guess that is one more thing that I will say about this before we move on, is because the funny thing about the lake that we went to is they're doing one of those DNR surveys. And so every time you get off the lake, you talk to the person at the ramp and they're like, did you keep anything? What'd you catch? What'd you do? They're not being invasive. I was going to say don't care. They do care, but that's the thing, is they're not there to judge you or anything like that. What they're doing is that they're adding to the scientific data so they can help the regulation for down the line in the future, And so, but the funny thing is, this is the person who's been at this launch all year and knows what everybody is or is not catching. And so the funny thing is, we come in and we're like, we knew we made the best of a bad situation, but even the DNR guy goes, rough day. I was like, oh man. So it is what it is. But we still actually had fun, and especially that conversation cracked me up. So I'm still looking forward to the next outing. But ultimately, this is the time of year that we are starting to plan for ice, which is why it is perfect that we are kicking off these conversations and these podcasts. So without further ado, let's get to our guest. So Kevin, thank you so much for being here, and thanks for coming to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's been a great opportunity. Looking forward to this.
Yeah. So we were talking a little bit before the show. And the funny thing is, you might be our guest that is calling in from the farthest away. So we are going to start talking ice fishing, but you are actually in California, which is kind of funny. So can you take a minute, introduce yourself, tell us about yourself, and tell us a little bit about Sunfran?
Yeah, totally. So first off, thanks to everybody tuning in. My name's Kevin Zhu. I am currently a college senior, studying in sunny California, as they previously mentioned. Some fun facts about me are that I was a Boy Scout growing up, made it all the way to Eagle Scout, so I spent a lot of times outdoors. And I guess most importantly for this, I'm here representing Sunfran as creators of the Smart Jigger. It's supposed to be this jigging device that's, different than what is currently on the market, in that you can program the kinds of presentations and motions you want it to do. So, over the course of the next hour or so, hoping to give you guys a live demonstration, answer any questions about how we got started, our future plans, and anything else that might come up. So, yeah.
That is awesome. So let's start with a little bit of that history. Or where does the name Sunfran come from?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think that, to be completely honest, there wasn't really any, Einstein moment that came to us. It was, we're close to the San Francisco area. My mom's last name is actually Sun, and so instead of Sanfran, it's just Sunfran. And
cool.
It's really quick, rolls off the tongue, and I guess it pays homage to where it all began, just in the sunny waters of the California Delta. So that's a little bit about the name.
Well, and that is a perfect segue into my next question is, the sunny waters of California. That sounds wonderful. But we're here talking ice fishing. So make that connection for us.
Yeah, totally. So I guess to answer that question, it helps to sort of go over a little bit about why we even decided to build this thing. And it comes from this passion project between me and my dad. My dad is the one that does a lot more of the fishing on the waters, and I join every now and then. And we did a lot more when I was younger. But as we're getting older, and as especially my dad, he wants to do a lot of fishing, but he's often by himself on the water. And so this is sort of a companion piece for him. It can do a lot of the automatic jigging motions, and he's still there for the good parts of it. And so when we were sort of pitching this to other people, and when we were trying to market it online, a lot of people immediately thought of the ice fishing industry, about people who do, drilling the holes in the ice and then have automatic jiggers of various varieties cooking there. And I think that what we have here is honestly better than a lot of those. You have a lot more creativity with what you can do. There's a lot more freedom in like the kinds of ways you can power it and the length of how long you can use it. And so we're hoping that, you know, once we introduce this to people in the ice fishing industry, they'll see some value in it. They'll see the same value in it that we see. And hopefully from there, it'll just travel by word of mouth and it'll become the big thing that we know it is.
This is awesome. And one of the things that's helping really wrap this up in my brain is Josh has actually a picture on our other screen. So can you do a screen share and maybe share with the people at home? Because Kevin, I know that you're showing us also with the one that you have in front of us, which is perfect. But if you actually go to the Sunfran webpage, and then you can see right there, and lo and behold, it looks like you're out on a boat. And I can kind of start to get. Oh goodness, that almost scared me. I was saying I can almost start to get an idea, and actually, this is a video. We did mute it. Sorry, because it was like a little bit loud.
Yeah, no worries, no worries.
So here it's actually attached to the boat. Can you tell us a little bit more?
Yeah, so the way that we've actually sort of planned the creation of this is accessibility is maybe one of our biggest goals. We want to make sure that, you know, if you want to do it stationary on a dock or you want to hook it up to like existing downriggers, there's a lot of options to do that. And so if I can show you really quick, let me see if I can do this safely. On the bottom of this mount, you can see that there's a lot of pre-drilled holes. And so we sort of took basically some of the most popular like downrigger mounts on the market, drilled holes according to it. And basically there's this companion piece that you can buy along with the jigging device itself and basically just slide it onto some existing mounts, attach it to existing downriggers, sort of do whatever. And so you can attach it to your boat, you can attach it to just a dock. You can also just leave it on the ice, right? So there's a lot of ways you can go about doing it. And we never want it to be an issue of you want to use it, but you can't like figure out how to set it up. Everything's basically set up for you, just ready to use out of the box.
Oh, that's actually cool. Because the hard part is always when you get it home and you like don't know how to put it together. You're like, oh,
right.
But my other favorite thing though is when you have a product that isn't just one season specific. And I think that you not only talked about ice season, and you not only talked about open water, but I love the idea that this could be on your boat. This could be on your dock. Like this could be so many different places. And that application, I guess I'd never thought about putting it on a dock. But that's a really great idea, you know, but whenever you can take something with you and use it in so many different applications, that's just one of my favorite things.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we do have a question from Ryan. And he's checking it out on the boat and everything. Have you ever tested it in the cold weather? How does that motor hold up?
Yeah, so we have started, or like we have had people buy it in the past, and some of our customers are in like Wyoming or in the areas where there is ice fishing. We might not have the videos on the website itself, but if you follow it onto our TikTok, you can find videos of ice fishing, and you can have, or I've, one of the most popular videos we have is the guy is narrating on like the middle of a frozen lake, and he's saying that he drilled like 4 or 5 holes using other jiggers, and how this one is out fishing it like 20-1, right? And so it has been tested in the cold water. It holds up really well. And in the battery demonstration, we can show you like, you know, how to set it up and how long you can expect it to last. And I think also more importantly, where was I going with this?
No, because it's like you knew our next question. Well, if you remember your thought, go ahead. But otherwise, our next question was about batteries.
Yeah. I think the last thing I'll round it off with is there are some limitations in terms of like, you know, we haven't quite tested it out on like saltwater or extremely large fish. Like you're not going to be catching marlin with this, obviously. But as just for like battery life, as for accessibility, as for like location and temperature, none of those are issues. We've tested them quite thoroughly, and so far satisfied customers all around.
And I don't know anybody that's going to be disappointed about not catching a marlin because there's no marlins ice fishing, so it's fine.
Hey, win-win for both of us. Win-wins all around.
So as far as the batteries, and it sounds like you know a lot more than I do. So I'm going to give my 2 cents and then I'm going to let you actually probably give the right answer. But one of my thoughts, I guess, was it depends on the battery that's in there, because with ice fishing, you know, there's a lot of lithium out there. There's a lot of different options, and we've tested those and we know that some of those are good. So does a battery come with yours? And tell us about that.
Yeah. So I think I'll start by saying that there isn't actually a battery housed within the unit. the battery is external and you plug it connected to the unit. And so I have basically 3 items. I have the Smart Jigger itself. I have this battery, which might look familiar. It's just a Milwaukee battery. And I have this adapter that I got on Amazon for, I think, less than $10. And so you have a battery, which chances are most people own or something similar. And it's not just Milwaukee. You can work it with DeWalt batteries as well. You can also hook it up to your boat if you have like the right kind of wirings and the wiring that we provide for you. So, first step, you have your battery, you have the adapter, just slide that in. Second, you plug this other end, which comes with the product that, if you decide to purchase, this cable comes with it. You plug it into the other side of the unit. Make sure it's powered on, make sure everything is safe. And then from there, you can kind of just turn it on. And if everything went well, this will just start going on its own. So I pressed the button and there it is. It'll start running by itself. And basically, it'll keep doing this until it runs out of battery or until I tell it to stop. And I think in our testing, we've had standard 24-volt batteries last for like the entire day. And so if you're planning to just do like a one-day trip, this is more than enough to last you through that. So that's in terms of battery. And yeah, hopefully it was easy to understand, but if not, I can try to explain it again.
No, that was perfect. But it does lead me to the question. You're showing the front of the unit, and then there was like all these other buttons. So are there more functions, or does it do other things?
Oh, yes. So I'm super glad you asked, because like I said, what's really impressive about ours is that you can program it to do whatever you want. And so let me see if I can do this one-handed. But basically what you're going to want to do is just make sure the device is stopped. The 2 buttons are basically presets. If I press them right now, it comes pre-installed with two different kinds of motions. But if you want to program your own, what you're going to do is just hold down one of the green buttons for a couple of seconds. So I'm going to hold the first green. 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to program something like this. Real slow motion. And I'm just going to press it again. And you'll see that it'll do exactly what I just did a couple seconds ago. And it'll repeat that motion. Much like the previous one. And it'll keep doing it until I either tell it to stop, the battery gets disconnected, or until the battery runs out. And so you can sort of do many different kinds of things. One of the things that we had in mind when designing was that we're from California, and the way that we catch like our kinds of fish is probably different from the ways that you guys do and the way that people on other parts of the country and other parts of the world do. And so we wanted to provide the freedom for you to do the kinds of motions and do the kinds of presentations that work well, and just be able to transfer it onto this machine. Quick and easy, 10-second procedure, super fun, super nice.
I appreciate that there aren't like remotes to lose, that it is that all-in-one unit. I'm also I think that's actually really super cool how you can program your own, I guess, cycle into there. Because even just what you showed, and it was kind of just like a random cycle. I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to say you didn't put much effort into it, because that was super great, but I'm just saying you made that look so super easy. But any single jig cadence out there that you need to repeat is something that you can program into that. And you don't have to remember like a code number or which one it is or how to find it or whatever. You can just literally do that. And so I'm not saying that you're going to want to reprogram it every single time you're out there, but you could, because it was just as easy as you just showed us. And that's super cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing is that we have 2 sets of presets, right? We have the first one on the top, but we also have a second one. And so what we usually do is we have like one of the slower motions, but we also have one where, we set one for slow and the other one for a lot faster motion. And so, for example, I can do a much more erratic motion here. Press it again. And then now you have one that's a lot more erratic. And maybe this kind of motion is something that works better for a different kind of fish or a different kind of area you're in. And so if I want to stop that, I just press the stop button, this red one, it'll stop. And then if I wanted to go back to the first one we set a little while ago, I just press the first one again. And now we go back to the simple, slow, simple, relaxed motion.
Okay, this is
So
great because one of like my ice fishing tips, I guess, and sometimes I talk about this, so I can't call it a secret, but if you have, let's say, two different holes drilled, not super close, but kind of near each other, and then what you can do is in one hole have something, a spoon, something bigger, something flashier, and you can have that crazier jig cadence, whatever you want to set it to, your number two right now, whatever you just showed us. But
right.
then that can bring the fish in. They will see that motion. They will come on over, but sometimes fish aren't willing to eat that. And that's okay, but that's the point of that second hole is that you can have that smaller jig in there. You can have maybe a tungsten and a little plastic or a wax worm or whatever it is on there. And when you have it, just that really, really slow jig cadence, and that's a really fun thing. They kind of balance each other out, and that's a really great way to get bites when you're out there. So to see something like this that can do both those applications, that's a really super fun thing.
Yeah, and I think the other thing to remember is that like this isn't meant to replace your fishing, right? It's not like you're just putting this on your boat and then you're sitting back and doing nothing. Obviously, you could, right? If you want to crack open a cold one, just take it easy for a little bit. You have something to just tirelessly work. You don't have to do anything, but you can also have this and fish alongside it. And then, as you said, this can be the sort of thing to like attract attention to the area while you have your own rod going by yourself, you know? So it's meant to like enhance your fishing experience, not replace it, right?
Well, and also like here in Wisconsin, we get 3 lines. So
Yeah.
like that's really super lucky. And so, with ice fishing, well, I guess let's start with the boat. With the boat, you only have this much space, however big your boat is, we all imagine, and
Right.
however many lines you can fish off the side or however that works for you. But
Mhm.
here in Wisconsin, when it's the two of us, so then we can have 6 lines each. And the thing is, when you have that icy hardtop, I
Three
meant
lines
3
each.
lines each and 6 total. You know what I mean? I'm getting excited
Yeah.
here, but then you can really spread those holes out and start to really find where fish are. Or actually, like we'll each have our own jig pole and then like set other things around us. So, what a fun application!
Yeah, absolutely.
So Kevin, I'm watching we were watching the video a little bit ago, and you saw a bunch of fish being caught. This does not fall under the umbrella of it like an auto setter, right? It doesn't have a
No,
function where it
no.
sets the hook on any fish.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought it up because when I was working on like the legal side of stuff, that was one of the biggest issues that we had to factor in. So because it's just repeating the same motion, there isn't any sensor whatsoever that even tells there's a fish on the line. You have to be the one to sort of see based on the rod movement, based on like, the movement of the line itself. You have to be the one to take the rod out of the holder, reel it in yourself. And so that's why when we say that like it doesn't replace your fishing experience, like if you choose not to reel it in, like you're never going to catch a fish. And so no setting of the hook at all. It's meant to just repeat the same motions. So no worries there.
Awesome.
That is really awesome. And then when I'm thinking ice fishing, I'm thinking, we are having to trek this out there. So tell us about like how portable or durable is this? And then what's the weight?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the exact weight and dimensions are listed on our website. I can speak on the durability on it a little more. So, the entire casing is stainless steel, and so if you're in like freshwater environments, you're totally fine. The inside electronics have been epoxied with glue, and so basically, even if there's a little bit of water that gets in, it's totally fine. You don't have to worry about like any electrical damage. And for the most part, as long as you're not just dunking it into the lake or dunking it into the water, you don't have any issues there. For the most part, of all the people that we've been able to provide a unit to, or of all the people that have purchased a unit, none have ever complained about there being like durability issues. If anything, people that have bought one in the past go on to buy even more in the future. And so I think on the same topic and maybe within the same, wheelhouse is the issue of safety, right? You have this big metal contraption and there's a lot of issues of, okay, well, what if I have kids nearby? Do I have to worry about anything? And so I think maybe the biggest worry that comes to mind when you see this thing in person is that this goes up quite a bit and it has a tendency to just like slam shut. And so maybe you're worried that if it disconnects power in the middle, it'll just like fall on any wandering fingers into this little trap. But the good thing is that even if the power it gets unplugged, it'll actually just stop in place. And
Oh,
so you don't have to worry about any of that. If you decide to turn off the machine, it'll start slowly, lowering itself down. There's no immediate movements or anything like that. So we've really thought ahead to make sure it's safe, it's durable, not just for the people buying it, but also so we stay out of trouble, right? We're just trying to share the happiness with people. We don't want to spread any sorts of dangers around. So hopefully that answers the question and gives a little bit more perspective on it, this
Yeah, it
little
does.
buddy.
We have one more question that I think is kind of connected to that. What about if it, obviously we don't want it to, but what if it accidentally falls out of the back of your sled? So should we like keep a rubber band around it? Will it keep itself closed? Is there a lock?
Yeah, that's a good question. So if the issue is like this swinging open, I don't know if you can see, but we have this metal like hook that connects it so that it'll never go past like this angle. It'll never flip past like a certain degree. If it's a worry about like, you're transporting it somewhere and you don't want it to like fall off, you can also just like clip it somewhere. I don't know if this is visible, but we have this sliding mechanism that slides on and off. And if you just add like a climbing hook or a carabiner between this, like this isn't going anywhere at all. And so there's a lot of ways you can make sure that this stays exactly where you want it to be. It just really depends on the kind of situation you have. But I think once again, when we were designing it, we tried to make it as accessible and as easy to use as possible. And so basically, regardless of your situation, chances are there's an easy fix and it's just right there. So yeah.
That's awesome. I just want to jump in here. I was able to find some of the stats. It's 5 inches by 4 inches by 8 inches for dimensions, and it weighs about 6 pounds. And then it also says it can be powered by 12 or 24-volt batteries.
Right.
Have you seen a difference in battery life with either one of those voltages when you're using them?
I think it's slight. For us, the biggest thing is just that the adapter itself can't exceed like a certain amps, I
Mhm.
think. And so, you can have like a lot more power, but if the source that the power is going through can't handle anything higher than a certain point, like you won't see a big difference. I think for the most part, it just comes down to how long the battery lasts, and there's not really a difference in power from our testing.
Cool.
While we're talking about safety and stuff, Ray product durability, I guess. I don't know why I'm laughing about this. Ray was asking if there's a warranty.
Um, that's a good question. I want to say that if there's an issue within like a certain time period, I would say like if you get it and you immediately realize there's something wrong, we'll ship you a new unit, no questions asked. Um, I think I want to say it's somewhere on our website, but I don't want to give a for sure answer right now, just in case I get it wrong.
No,
But
that's perfect. And
yeah,
we will make sure that the website gets posted in
At
the
the end of the
chat.
show,
Yeah,
yeah.
at the end of the show. Because there is actually all kinds of good stuff on your website. So if people have not been there, they can check it out. But one of the things that I noticed while you were doing your little demo is that you had slid out, I guess, that bottom. I'm going to call it a tray. It's the opposite of that. But
right.
it's a mounting bracket. I guess maybe you have a better term. But I was wondering, like you were saying, oh, it can go on a dock. It can go on a rod holder. It can go on your boat. It can go all these different places. And I was wondering how that all attached easily. And now that I'm talking about it, Josh also pulled up a picture. So maybe as you talk about this, he can pull this up.
Yes, totally. And so basically we have this like sliding mount. That's what we sort of called it. The name really doesn't matter, but we have this companion piece. And the point is that, as previously mentioned, like once you slide this under the Smart Jigger, you can just clip it on with a binder clip or a carabiner or something to hold it in place. And the main point of this is that the holes on the bottom align pretty closely with a lot of like the Canon downriggers or Scotty mounts or Scotty rod holders. And so um, the the openings between it, you can slide onto boats. For this, the holes, the pre-drilled holes, those are more so for the downriggers and mounts. And so you can see here, I think this is a Scotty downrigger, and basically you just stick this on an existing mount, tighten it with a couple of screws and some bolts, and then just slide a clip on there, and now you have something new. So goes back to the ease of access. Chances are something that you own will be compatible with our sliding mount, and then from there it's as easy as 1, 2, 3.
Well, and the reason that I bring this up, I guess, is because I'm imagining. Okay, honestly, I'm thinking back to when you were showing us the different jigging cadences. And so let's
Right,
say that
right.
somebody chooses something like really, really erratic. When you're on the boat, it's obviously like locked down. That's not going anywhere, and
Yes.
that's cool. When you're on the ice, I was wondering, honestly, if that like jiggled or walked or moved under all of that motion. But what I'm seeing in that plate is that there would be space in there that somebody could actually take that plate, put it on the ice, and take like an ice cleat. What do you call
An
those?
ice anchor.
Yeah, an ice anchor. Just like put it
Yeah.
in the bottom of there. And the nice thing, then it's gonna hold that down nice. And so it's never gonna fall in. A fish is never gonna pull it in. Wind is never gonna like knock it over and do crazy things. But it looks like you have just enough space in there for that to fit. And so that's really, really a fun ice application.
Absolutely. And even if you're really desperate, like this, there's quite a bit of room to go there. You can just add like a lot of rocks there. And,
Hmm.
Oh
there's a
yeah.
lot of different, if you're real desperate, you just find something, secure it down. Um, you know, the sky's the limit in terms of problem solving with this. It does a thing and it does it well. And if there's any problems that arise, it's just a matter of like whether you have an idea of how to fix it, and chances are you'll be able to do it. So that's that.
So we're not done talking about this, but as we are, there are people who are excited here. And they're asking about cost. Is this already available on your website?
Yes, so you can purchase it on our website. I believe the base model without the sliding mount is $299, and with it is $399. Once again, we've done our best to make sure that it's the highest quality we can offer, that it's gone through testing, and it has customer reviews that are very satisfied. I would say that especially in like the fishing space, where sometimes you get like downrigger motors that are over $1,000, compared to that, this does all of that and more at a much lower cost. And so if you want to pick one up yourself, you can pick it up for $299. I think right now we might also be running a promotion of like half off or buy one get one free. You'll have to check our website for more details, but the bottom line is, if this is something that interests you, if this is something that you think would be able to enhance your fishing experience, this is available for you to pick up now. And also, we are going to be going to the Wisconsin Ice Show in December, and so maybe you'll be able to see us like in person, have a live demo, and be able to try it out yourself before making any purchases. So there it is.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's exactly what I'm thinking of, is because when you are there and you can do things like set those cadence, see how easy that is. I mean, we can talk about it on the show, but you're an expert in using that, but when
Right,
you
right.
can walk up and use that product or see how easy that is, that's something that people are always so, so excited about.
Yeah, I mean, I wish we were in person so you guys could be able to try this out yourself, but we got to do with what we got to do.
Oh my
Well,
gosh.
and that's part of what this whole series is about kind of getting the preview to it, because we will probably run into your mom and your dad over at the show, and we will probably be able to get our hands on it and be able to do a little bit more in depth with us in person. But this is just something that everybody at home gets a chance to look at it. They can familiarize themselves like with the website and such, and then be able to come and like play with it, I guess, at the show, and then hopefully that people get that in their hands.
Yeah, definitely. This is the kind of thing where it's much more impressive in person. Like on camera, it just looks like a hunk of metal, but in person, whew, it's a whole different beast.
Hmm.
It's no, I gotta say the jigging is pretty impressive.
Yeah,
I'm honestly I'm pretty impressed.
yeah. The teaching mode is really impressive to me. Like just how easy you guys made that, and that it's analog, right? Because we're so used to um digital things nowadays, and to have something that's analog, and especially in an environment like ice fishing where sensitivity with tactile motion is really tough sometimes because you have gloves or your fingers are cold. Having actual buttons where you can get that feedback and be able to adjust that in the cold is real, like I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, I think at its core, it's really simple. It's just four
Hmm.
buttons and a knob. Two of them are presets. One of them is a random motion. You can just have it do random motions. One of them is stop, and then the knob itself just controls the rhythm and pace. So really easy to use, and I think pretty intuitive as well. Like even without instructions, maybe you'd be able to figure it out within like a couple of minutes.
Right.
And the nice thing is that the rod holder on it is something that can accommodate whatever rod that you're putting into it. And so you're saying open water, ice season, off the dock. And so no matter what kind of a pole it is that you have, that you can put that in there. And that's a really great thing.
Oh, yeah.
Cool. All right. So if people have questions about this jigger, then definitely still put that in the comments. And we are so excited to see this at the show. But I guess one of the other things that I do have to ask about while we are here together is I know that there are a lot of people out there. They have ideas about, if they were fishing, what their products would be. Do you have advice for people to get, the idea of what's in their head to something? I mean, maybe not quite as far as the market, but how do people make some of those inventions come to life?
Ooh, that's a good question. And I'll do my best to answer it in a way that's satisfying. I think that at the very core of it, if you have an idea, you need to be able to believe in it before other people do, right? You need to be the one to be able to convince other people that, hey, we have something really unique here. We have something really special, and be able to take the criticism or the haters with a grain of salt because, for better or for worse, there are people that look at this and they call it lazy or they call it, like fake fishing. And I think that to be able to take the criticism and take what people say and just be able to push through anyways, be able to get to the right kind of audiences and be able to find the people that see the kind of vision that you do. It takes a lot. And so I would say one of the most important things is just making sure that you don't lose heart, that it is a difficult process, but that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and that, you just need to be able to see it until that point. And so that would be my really bare bones sort of motivation and basic advice.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And also know somebody mechanical.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. True that.
That's not me. Oh my gosh, that is so awesome. All right. So I know that we are going to get the website and post that into the comments. And we are so excited to, meet, I guess, your family at the Wisconsin Ice Fishing Expo. So we're going to have to go take a selfie with them and then we'll send it to you. We'll say we have to send it to Kevin.
Oh, I'll frame it and put it on my wall.
At least until you graduate, right?
Oh yeah. No, I'm keeping that for the rest of my life. It's an unforgettable experience.
Oh my goodness. Well, this really has been awesome. Thank you so much for all of your information and your time and your product knowledge and everything, because it has been so great.
Thank you for having me. And honestly, I can't see the viewers and I'm not sure who's there or not, but thank you all for tuning in. Really appreciate everybody and all of your guys' time to be able to put this on and be able to provide me with a platform to share this with the rest of the people.
Well, and ultimately, I couldn't have said it better myself. So to the people at home, thank you. And Kevin, thank you as well. And to everybody, we look forward to seeing you on next Tuesday's edition of The Night Bite.
Night, everybody.